Hello everyone. Today, we will talk about charitable trusts and fundraising type charitable trusts. We would like to introduce a fundraising type of charitable trust, which is a mechanism that enables the use of compassion for social activities. Here is what we will talk today.
A charitable trust is a type of trust with no specified beneficiaries as defined in the Charitable Trust Act and is intended for academic, artistic, charitable, ritualistic, religious, or other public benefit purposes. A charitable trust is a system whereby a property contributed by an individual or a company is entrusted to a trust bank, etc., with the permission of a competent government agency that has jurisdiction over public interest businesses. And the trust bank manages and operates the property for the benefit of an unspecified number of people in accordance with the defined public interest purpose. For an overview of charitable trusts and their characteristics, please refer to the Trust Farm Foundation's video, Trust Products for the Public Interest. According to statistics from the Trust Companies Association of Japan, as of the end of September 2021, there were 405 charitable trusts with a trust balance of 58.5 billion Japanese yen. In general, there's a growing trend among people who are interested in volunteering and contributing to society, as well as in doing what is useful for the public good, in recognition of the importance of corporate social responsibility, or CSR. On the other hand, in the area of charitable trusts, the number of charitable trusts entrusted has been decreasing year by year from 572 in fiscal year 2003. One of the reasons for this is that the existence of charitable trusts is not widely known in Japanese society, and people do not understand the difference between donating to a charitable organization, koeki hojin in Japanese, or a so-called certified specified non-profit organization, ninte NPO hojin in Japanese, which provides tax benefits when donated and establishing a charitable trust or donating to a charitable trust. A charitable trust is established when an individual, group, corporation, or municipality as a settlor enters into a trust agreement with a trustee, such as a trust bank, to place property in trusts for a certain public benefit purpose. Or, the legal relationship of the trust is created by the will of the settlor and set up by the trustee with the permission of the competent authorities. A charitable trust can be created by the settlor contributing, but in addition to contributions from the settlor, there are also charitable trusts that are based on the premise of receiving donations from the general public. Such a trust is called fundraising type charitable trust. In this video, we will talk about fundraising type charitable trusts. We hope that you will learn about fundraising type charitable trust as an option to make more effective use of your property for the public good. Before discussing fundraising type charitable trusts, we would like to introduce the first charitable trust created in Japan. In Japan, the Charitable Trust Act was enacted in 1923 and remained in use for a long time. In 1977, 54 years after the law was enacted, the Imai Memorial Charitable Trust for Overseas Cooperation was established as the first charitable trust in Japan. The Imai Trust is still in operation today, more than 50 years later, and provides grants to civic organizations that promote education and medical care in developing countries and relief activities for victims of disasters and other calamities. Settlers have various motives and awareness of issues in setting up charitable trusts. Here, we would like to introduce the late Yasutaro Imai, the first person to establish a charitable trust in Japan. Mr. Imai was born into a long-established kimono wholesaler in Nihonbashi, Tokyo, and lived a comfortable life until his childhood. However, when his family lost their family fortune in the Great Kanto earthquake of 1923, he dropped out of junior high school to support his family's finances. and from the age of 14, he began working as an apprentice at a textile wholesaler. He worked harder than anyone else for more than 10 years, then became an independent wholesaler of bedding and later made his fortune as a business owner. Mr. Imai's life philosophy was based on frugality, and he never wasted a single pencil or sheet of paper in his public or private life. After the Second World War, he happened to purchase a piece of land in a bamboo grove, which soared in price during the period of rapid economic growth and sold for a high price. He thought, "This kind of unearned income should not be given to me. It should be given back to society." The Imai Trust is extremely significant in the history of international cooperation in Japan, not only because it is the first charitable trust in Japan, but also because it is the first charitable trust established by a single individual for people in developing countries. Mr. Imai wished to contribute even a small amount to the activities of people in developing countries who are in difficult circumstances due to economic or other reasons, and to promote human exchange of hearts and minds. Since then, Mr. Imai has established a total of 13 charitable trusts for the treatment of intractable diseases and for the conservation of nature, and has donated a total of 436 million Japanese yen of his own private fortune. In 1998, he received the first Machikado no Philanthropist Award, or award to a philanthropist around the corner from Japan Philanthropic Association, in recognition of his efforts to promote charitable trusts by not only donating his personal funds, but also actively lobbying trust banks. In November 1979, about 2 years after the Imai Trust was established, Japan's first fundraising type charitable trust, the Asian Community Trust ACT, was born. The ACT was inspired by the American community foundations that have made great contributions to solving social problems in the region, and was conceived as a way for Japanese citizens who are members of the Asian community to support their neighbors in the Asian countries. Then, in 1979, ACT was established with Yasutaro Imai, the settler of Japan's first charitable trust, and MRA House as settlers. Since then, over the past 40 years, 28 special funds have been established within ACT with contributions from 25 individuals and groups and 3 business corporations. These 28 special funds total more than 1,087,300,000 Japanese yen. In total, more than 4,500 individuals and organizations have donated a cumulative total of approximately 347 million Japanese yen. With these donations, the ACT has provided grants totaling approximately 870 million Japanese yen to 786 projects implemented by nonprofit organizations in 15 Asian countries. Asian Community Center 21, a certified specified nonprofit organization to which we belong, is currently serving as the executive secretariat of ACT. In this way, a charitable trust is a system under which an individual or a corporation who wishes to contribute to society places property in trust for a certain public purpose, and the trustee manages and operates the property and carries out its duties to realize that purpose. Since a charitable trust is a trust, it does not have the status of a corporation, and the trustee, such as the trust bank, is the main executing entity. Therefore, it fulfills the same social function as foundations in that they utilize funds from individuals or corporations for public interest activities, but it does not require its own office, etc., and its operating costs are relatively low. The funds of charitable trusts are used in a wide range of areas, including providing grants for international cooperation activities and environmental conservation and scholarships. A charitable trust is a mechanism that allows you to realize your social contribution aspirations in a simple and reliable manner. Here, we talk about advantages of using charitable trusts. As a public benefit purpose of a charitable trust, grants or awards can be made in a wide range of areas as follows. As of September 30, 2021, the largest number of charitable trust purposes in Japan was for scholarship grants, 132 trusts, followed by natural science research grants and educational promotion. Target areas include not only Japan but also overseas. With global issues on the rise, charitable trusts can be used to address a variety of issues that arise not only in Japan but also around the world. As explained in the Trust Forum Foundation's video, Trust Products for the Public Interest, the following tax benefits are available for charitable trusts. For charitable trusts in which individuals are sellers, income generated from the entrusted assets is exempt from taxation. Charitable trusts that meet certain requirements are called specified charitable trusts, and if a corporation contributes to a specified charitable trust, it is allowed to include the contribution in deductible expenses as a general donation. Among specified charitable trusts, those that are certified by the competent minister as having a certain trust's purpose are called certified specified charitable trust. When a corporation contributes to a certified specified charitable trust, it is allowed to count the contribution as a deductible expense in a separate line item. Individual contributions are also deductible as donations and are exempt from inheritance tax. In this way, money spent for the purpose of making entrusted assets of certified specified charitable trusts is subject to preferential measures such as donation deductions, in the same way as donations to specified public interest promotion corporations. A specified charitable trust means entrusted assets at the time of termination of the trust do not belong to the settlor. The trust agreement shall not be terminable by agreement. The property to be contributed is limited to money, etc. The requirements for a certified specified charitable trusts are that it have as its purpose one of the purposes listed in 1 to 11, or a combination of two or more of the purposes listed in 1 to 11. In addition to the tax benefits available to charitable trusts generally have the following 5 characteristics. First, the procedures for establishing a charitable trust are simple for the seller, since the trustee applies for permission, etc. from the competent authorities. In addition, even after the establishment of the charitable trust, the trustee, such as a trust bank, handles various procedures, management and administration, and renewals, making it less burdensome for the donor in terms of administration and management, making it highly valuable for use. Second, it can be set up from a smaller property compared to establishing a public benefit foundation. Third, the entrusted assets can be withdrawn for public benefit activities and can be used in a flexible manner. Fourth, when establishing a general charitable trust, the trustee, such as a trust bank, is responsible for administrative works. Therefore, there is no need to open a new office or hire clerical staff, which means that the costs are relatively low and efficient operation is possible. However, this point will be discussed later, as the operational structure may be different for fundraising type charitable trusts. Fifth, fiduciary duty of loyalty, duty of care of a good manager, duty of segregation management, etc., under the Trust Act will ensure stricter administrative execution and the preservation of trust assets. The following is a diagram of how a typical charitable trust works. In a general charitable trust, the trustee functions as a secretariat, handles various applications and procedures, consults with the steering or advisory committee, etc., decides on grant recipients, and then provides grants. After establishment of a charitable trust, if no additional contributions are made to the trust, or if the investment of entrusted assets does not result in investment profits exceeding the annual fund disbursements, the entrusted assets will be withdrawn and the date of termination will arrive. On the other hand, there is a method in which donations are solicited from third parties in addition to the seller who initially contributed to establish the charitable trust, making it possible to sustainably manage the trust fund. This is a so-called fundraising type charitable trust. This diagram shows an example of how a fundraising type charitable trust works. Unlike a general charitable trust, a fundraising type trust is designed to receive donations from the public at large. This diagram shows how the ACT, a fundraising type charitable trust, works. In addition to receiving supporting membership fees of 10,000 yen per membership or more, and donations of any amount, a special fund can be established with a lump sum donation above a certain amount. ACT allows a lump sum monetary donation of 10 million Japanese yen or more to establish a special fund bearing the donor's name or any other name desired. For example, Taro Yamada Memorial Fund, Suzuki Busan Asian Culture Promotion Fund. This special fund can designate a specific country or region in Asia or a specific area of focus for ACT. ACT covers a wide range of projects including education, healthcare, agricultural and cultural promotion, academic research, and the protection of the natural environment, etc. You may choose your area of interest from among these to establish a special fund. Thus, since a special fund is established within an existing charitable trust, it can be established with a simpler procedure only for 1 to 2 months compared to establishing a new independent charitable trust. In a fundraising type charitable trust that is designed to receive donations from the public at large, it is possible to set up any number of special funds like building a condominium, as shown in this diagram of how the ACT works. Fundraising type charitable trusts have been created not only in the field of international cooperation such as ACT, but also in a wide range of other fields, including protection of the natural environment, youth development, community development, volunteer activities in disaster area, and natural science research, and so on. We will then discuss the benefits to donors to fundraising type charitable trusts. Fundraising charitable trusts, like general charitable trusts, are established by contract between the trustee and the settler who initially establishes the fund. In reality, it is difficult to sustain a fund semi-permanently with only the initial donations made by the settler, and the fund will terminate at some point when the fund balance decreases. However, if the number of people who agree with the purpose and significance of the charitable trust is increased and donations are raised, the activities of the fund can be sustained and contribute to the public interest for many years. It can also accommodate and accept relatively small donations, and the more sustainable a charitable trust operates, the greater its contribution and impact on society. Donors of fundraising type charitable trusts will find the following points to be of benefit. First, it will be in the form of a donation to an existing charitable trust, and if you donate to that trust, you'll be able to obtain information on how a donation has been used in the past grant-making activities. Second, a fundraising type charitable trust that can establish a special fund can establish an endowment in a shorter time for a shorter amount than setting up a new charitable trust or foundation. A special fund can also be established by bequest. As with the overall management of a charitable trust, the special fund is strictly managed and administered by the trustee. Third, the special fund establishers may aid in any field or area they wish. Then, the trustee or the secretariat will provide regular reports on the results of the projects carried out with grants from the special fund. Fourth, unlike a direct donation by a donor to a specific organization, charitable trusts, including fundraising types, accept grant applications from an unspecified number of organizations and individuals, and the steering or advisory committee rigorously examines them each year to determine which organizations and individuals have the ability to carry out the applied projects and achieve results. The grant applications propose project plans to solve problems faced by the beneficiaries against a backdrop of the social conditions of that time, allowing us to provide timely support. The Secretariat will provide consultation if necessary to those who are considering setting up a special fund at ACT. In a past case of a special fund set up, the Secretariat conducted preliminary research, planned a program, and set up a fund for those who wanted a university scholarship program in an island in the eastern part of Indonesia where their grandfather had passed away. The photo on the left shows a field survey. The photo on the right shows a field survey in the Indian Ocean tsunami-affected area, which will be introduced later. In this way, the Secretariat helps to identify needs in the field in advance and to set up a special fund that can be used effectively. We'll talk about the benefits for beneficiaries of fundraising-type charitable trusts. While fundraising-type charitable trusts can operate sustainably by receiving additional donations, the beneficiaries are numerous and diverse, and the organizations and individuals who receive grants are given the opportunity to work on their projects with a sense of urgency and sensitivity to the feelings of their donors. As a result, the fundraising-type charitable trust can bridge the gap between diverse donors and beneficiaries in society and, depending on the efforts of the advisory committee, can receive additional benefits such as experiencing sharing among the beneficiaries. When both beneficiaries and settlers or donors are satisfied, the role and the value of the fundraising-type charitable trust will increase, and further donors will appear, thus creating a positive cycle. For example, ACT's special fund, the Daiwa Securities Group Tsunami Reconstruction Fund, supported reconstruction efforts in 3 Asian countries that were severely affected by the Sumatra earthquake and Indian Ocean tsunami. In setting up the fund, the Secretariat visited the affected areas in Indonesia, India, and Sri Lanka and made specific proposals for grant programs. This special fund provides grants for projects implemented by local NGOs with the following 4 objectives: psychological care for children, providing educational opportunities for children, rebuilding economic and livelihood infrastructure through microfinance projects, and promoting exchange and cooperation among tsunami survivors and sharing and disseminating experiences and information. During the 10 years from 2005 to 2014, the fund helped rebuild the lives of more than 240,000 disaster victims in Indonesia, India, and Sri Lanka. In addition to this, the following examples from the past will give you an idea of the kind of support that can be realized depending on the size of the fund. In the example mentioned earlier, where we conducted field research on a university scholarship program in the eastern part of Indonesia, the project to provide scholarships began after the special fund was set up. In this way, actual face-to-face support has been realized, and young people from poor families have been able to go on to university and achieve success with the scholarships provided by this fund. Finally, we will talk about the challenges. With the aim of promoting the sound development of public interest activities by the private sector and thereby contributing to the promotion of public interest and the realization of a private society, the charitable trust legislation is being revised in the following 3 main areas from the perspectives of making the system consistent with public interest corporation system, while taking into account the purpose of the public interest corporation system reform. First, expanding the scope of trust administration and entrusted assets. Second, expanding the scope of the trustees. Third, repeal of the competent authority system. Of these, with regard to the expansion of the scope of trustees in the second point, we believe the following issues should be addressed in the revision based on our experience as a Secretariat of the Charitable Trusts. In a general charitable trust, a trustee such as a trust bank establishes an advisory body such as a steering committee, and the trustee assumes the secretariat function, whereas a fundraising type charitable trust requires the secretariat to have staff with expertise. The reason for this is that it requires soliciting applications, conducting preliminary research, making preliminary assessments of applications before submitting to the steering committee, organizing applications to be submitted to the committee, and preparing reports to donors. For example, in such areas such as the environment, international cooperation, and human rights, a higher level of expertise is required. We may also suggest fields and programs with higher needs through research activities to those who are considering establishing special funds or donating through requests, and provide detailed follow-up and monitoring of grant or projects, as well as reporting on results. Thus, in a fundraising type charitable trust, it is difficult for the trustee, such as a trust bank, to perform all the secretariat functions, including public relations and fundraising activities. If an outside party with know-how and experience can be enlisted as a secretariat, more synergistic effects can be generated. However, this will require a reasonable cost. One of the characteristics of general charitable trusts is that they are operated efficiently and cost-effectively because they do not require opening a new office or hiring officers, since a trustee, such as a trust bank, manages the administration and other operations. But if the scope of trust administration, entrusted assets, and trustees is expanded and the expertise and abilities required of the trustees are diversified, it will be necessary to discuss the financial structure of charitable trusts and their cost-effectiveness accordingly. This concludes our discussion on charitable trusts and fundraising type charitable trusts. Thank you for watching.